A 50-year-old Dallas man is scheduled for execution next week in a double murder case that's received national attention. Ivan Cantu's execution was postponed twice previously. His supporters are asking for a stay of execution, while the district attorney says he's convinced the evidence at trial was solid. Fox 4's Lori Brown, live in Collin County. Lori.
Clarice, supporters here at the Collin County Courthouse said that they're not asking for a new trial, but rather just a one-day hearing that can weigh what they say is critical new evidence in the case.
And he asked me to be with him if Texas executes him on the 28th. Would you hold my hand and would you pray with me?
A well-known activist, Sister Helen Prejean, is one of Ivan Cantu's supporters, the group delivering 80,000 signatures to Collin County District Attorney Greg Willis, calling on him to request a stay of execution. Cantu was sentenced to death for the 2000 murders of his cousin and cousin's fiancé, James Mosqueda and Amy Kitchen. His attorney wants a court hearing on new evidence. She says a key witness admitted he lied, and a Rolex watch Cantu was accused of stealing was later discovered.
And I'm hopeful that a court will do the right thing and give Ivan his day in court.
While many who gathered at the steps of the Collin County Courthouse are opponents of the death penalty, one man who made a 3-hour drive to McKinney is not.
I'm not here to protest capital punishment.
Jeff Calhoun was the jury foreman at the trial 23 years ago.
It ain't easy to sign the document that says we, the jury, are turning this man over to the state to be executed. But it's our civic duty, and we did it. And I didn't look back until a few months ago when this fellow over here, Matt, got a hold of me.
Matt Duff is a private investigator who launched a podcast about Cantu's case.
But the state can't find Ivan's DNA on the bloody jeans and socks. If that came out at trial, that's a game over right there.
But Thursday, the district attorney remained steadfast that Ivan Cantu brutally murdered 2 innocent victims in 2000. My belief is anchored in the undeniable evidence presented at trial, reinforced by over 2 decades of exhaustive state and federal appeals post-conviction. This compelling evidence includes DNA analysis, fingerprint identification, ballistic matching, and corroborating witness testimony. One of the
So first, I'm going to be transparent, right? I do support the death penalty. I am pro-death penalty in cases like this. But I also truly believe that any inkling of any type of new evidence, refuted evidence, old evidence that was not admitted that should have been, things like that need to be taken utmost serious, right? Like that's a very, very serious situation that we have going on there. So imagine the main head juror saying he feels like it was a mistake. He wants evidence heard again. And the district attorney that is an elected official with over 80,000 human beings requesting signing for him to review the evidence, redo the case, right? Well, district attorney is not going to want to overturn a case because that's going to turn into a loss on a capital murder case for his office, and that's not a good look. They would rather stand by it. And what this district attorney is saying is that based on all evidence that he's seen during the trial, this man is guilty. He feels like nothing wrong is happening. I can understand that, but DA, they're saying there's evidence that wasn't in the trial. There's proof that somebody lied in the trial. All types of things going on here. What would it hurt to take a look? The man's been on death row for 20 years now. What's a one-day stay? A one-day court hearing? You don't want to get this wrong, right? And I'm going to let you hear from Ivan Cantu because tomorrow is the 3rd time that he's scheduled for execution. This is the 3rd time that he's packed all his stuff up, that he's had to tell his mama goodbye, that he's in there. So all I can say is I hope he's guilty. And if he's not, I hope they take this seriously. Maybe this video will see somebody that needs to see it, because that will be a tragedy. And if you execute the wrong person, then that is, again, capital murder committed by the state. So let's get it straight, right? Ivan Cantu has been working on a podcast. It's called Cousins by Blood. And it's a private investigator that's been looking at his case and helping him get a little attention. I wanted you to hear Ivan speak about this himself and you make your decision on whether you feel sorry for him, whether you think he's guilty, or whether you think he should be executed, given a chance, or whatever. Y'all let me know in the comments.
Obviously, in 14 days, you're facing your third execution date. Does the feeling going into this one differ at all from the other two?
It does. And this one here, it's alarming and it concerns me. And it concerns me because during my second execution date, when we had turned in my appeal, discrediting the state's case, and with having one of the best attorneys in the country, last August when I was denied, I was expecting a new trial, and it shocked all of us. Not just myself, but it shocked my attorney Gina Bunn, and it shocked the other people that were monitoring this case, because they knew that it had merit and that it warranted a new trial. But yet the court denied me, claiming that my claims were barred, and therefore they were not allowing my claims in to be sent back to the trial court for a hearing. It's not that they're saying that the information that I'm sharing is wrong, or that it would not warrant a new trial. They're basically saying, I like to use the analogy that you've caught the ball, but you're out of bounds. And they're claiming that because of the fact that the information wasn't put in my initial state habeas attorney by an ineffective attorney at that time, who dropped the ball and didn't have the resources to get that into the court. And therefore, since it wasn't in that appeal, they're saying they're not willing to give it a look review today. And it's clearly wrong.
Do you feel like there's a disconnect, between those who have the ability to, the time to, and sometimes even the responsibility to look at all the facts of the case, especially those that have come to light in recent years because of the podcast and everything, and a disconnect between them and the people with the power to do something, to grant you an evidentiary hearing or a new trial, in that it's easy to write it off. Papers get to their desk and they're just looking at the nuts and bolts of it, or maybe even they're seeing, okay, all these concerns were raised by a podcast, and these concerned citizens, I think was the term that was used in one of the rulings denying your motion on the ballistics, that maybe people see, okay, these are just crackpot citizens or free time poking around on the internet, fancy themselves a detective. This isn't the real legal system, and it's easy to write all those developments the last few years off. Do you feel like that's out there?
So I'm gonna let Ivan answer that question myself, but I'm gonna say it like this. The legal system is wrote in a foreign language, right? You literally have to go to law school to understand a lot of it. A lot of times when they're reading it, they still have to look up definitions. The legal system definitely favors those with money, those with influence, things like that. Because in a capital murder case, as I said, they usually start at about $50,000 for an attorney. And unless you're a wealthy person, you're almost guaranteed an ineffective counsel. It almost takes a team to work on a capital murder case, because they'll have a team of district attorneys working against you, right? It's usually their most prolific, high-profile case. And he's about to explain how that makes him feel, and I can't wait to hear.
The way that I see it is that the police department didn't do their job and thoroughly investigate. And then even when it's presented and pointed out to the prosecution, you would think that they would realize that there's a problem and say, you know what, hey, let's hit the pause button. Let's get our own team on this. Let's look at it. And they didn't do that. So with having limited resources and not a war chest of resources to fight, that's what it's taken. What else are we to do?
Any idea what your attorney Gina Bunn is filing this go around, preparing to file and win?
I believe that we are going to be filing something today. If not today, I imagine in the next couple of days. One of the appeals that we will be filing is a reconsideration to the same writ that was denied in August. And why that writ is important is because the Collin County District Attorney's Office realized that, again, something else wasn't turned over to us. And it's very, very powerful by one of the investigators within their office.
Now this is really interesting. There was additional information about the Rolex that recently surfaced. It's interesting on a couple levels. You'll remember Dale Lundberg, the Collin County investigator that Eichenberg and I met with in episode 16. Well, Lundberg had taken some initiative looking into the Rolex situation for himself and created this report in 2019. This is from Ivan's second subsequent writ that his defense filed just a few days ago based on Lundberg's report.
Mr. Cantu first learned that Miss Betcher lied about the watch in 2019, and the CCDAO's internal investigation confirms that Mr. Mosqueda had only one Rolex watch, and it was never stolen. In October 2019, the CCDAO investigator Dale Lundberg interviewed Mark Kitchen, Amy Kitchen's brother. See Exhibit 4, the Lundberg notes.
In Exhibit 4, Lundberg details his investigation of the Rolex discovery. And this is his timeline. On October 24th, 2019, Lundberg was first informed about the Rolex discovery by Gina. Then Lundberg called me.
So if you want to hear more about the case, the podcast is called Cousins by Blood. But all I wanted to do is bring a little attention this morning that there is possibility that this is an innocent man being executed tomorrow. We hope not. We like to think that God wouldn't do that or allow that to happen to people, but we know it does happen. And I really implore these district attorneys, Collin County, Texas. It's a little place just like what we said. Don't let embarrassment, humiliation stop you from doing the right thing. 80,000 people, they're not crackpots, they're not internet detectives. They're people that can tell right from wrong and don't want to see an innocent man convicted. So just do the right thing, y'all. Pray for the man, pray for his victims' souls, their families still. Obviously, that was his cousin he killed, so his entire family has been ripped apart. His mother's still alive, and we'll wait and see, y'all. So usually about 5 or 6 p.m. tomorrow will be the day that they execute him, and we'll find out what happens.